GM.
Good morning. How you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
Good. Feeling lovely.
A little bit quiet today. I don't know if your microphone's maybe far away from you or... Sounded fine in the pre-show though. Maybe it's just the music's too loud.
It sounded fine in the pre-show. Let's see.
All right, what's going on, everybody?
Do I sound
good
better?
To see all. Yeah, you might just have to speak louder. I don't know.
Speak louder.
Yeah, there you go.
I wonder if it's you.
Just being so.
Do I sound low to the audience?
No, you're good now. You're good now. Yeah, sorry. Maybe
okay.
That's just me. Maybe it was just me.
All right.
I gotta get some GMs up on the screen.
I just don't want to be screaming at the audience. I still have not figured out how to respond to anybody in the chat. In my particular part of this studio, this interactive studio that Silicon Valley has made for us, there's no option for me to chat. We have our little private chat, and I see all these beautiful comments on the side here.
You know what you could do is if you were like watching it on like a second stream or something on like your YouTube account, you could just be in there chatting.
Oh. Fun.
DM degenerates. GM. There you go. Cool. How's your weekend? What's going on? Good to be back on the show with you.
It was great. I basically minted nothing because I was really off last week. I could not make a good trade to save my life. Some of the stuff I held did very well, but I was off last week.
Yeah, sometimes you just need to take a little bit of a reset or whatever. I was definitely hanging around Friday afternoon, Saturday, Sunday, but I don't know. I was with you. There's some amazing cooks that I guess in hindsight I minted out on, I missed out on, but
and I hated all of them, and everything I liked failed miserably. So that, you know, I'm feeling like George Costanza. I think my best strategy this week is to do the opposite of what feels right. And we all go through periods that way. And you have to do one of two things, right? You either step away, which I can't do because this is my job, or you do the opposite of all your instincts, like George Costanza did. And as you see, within minutes of deciding this strategy, as he was eating the sandwich that he decided to order, which he never eats, he got the opposite. He got the opposite of what he normally eats. He had a date with a very fine young lady that he met at the counter there. And you see, sometimes employing the strategy is correct. Now, for George Costanza, always employing this strategy was correct. He always seemed to be on the wrong end of these things. But for some of us, it's waves, right? We go through good, we go through bad. And we just need to be doing the opposite of what I say until.
And sometimes it's mindset too, right? Like if you're not feeling into it, then you're not making good decisions, and it is a good opportunity to just kind of relax and reset. And I think that's important. I think that there's such pressure in this world because it operates 24/7, and stepping away for a couple minutes, a couple hours, a day, could, I'm going to air quote, cost you $10,000 or something like that. And that's a real problem. You just got to remember that there's always tons of opportunities going on, and even if you were present, there's no guarantee that you would have acted upon that information properly at the time. So it's good to just be able to chill out and whatnot.
It could be hard. It could be hard to watch people doing well if you feel like you're not doing very well, but everyone goes through those periods. Nobody is immune to it. It's just part of how it rolls.
Yeah. There's so deep you can go on that. Everybody's got a different situation, different risk tolerance, different, philosophies, and you got to pick what works for you. And sometimes maybe that's not the peak optimal situation for the meta. But if you're a diamond-handed holder and you have problems selling things, and you can participate for long enough and hold on long enough, you're going to have some big wins just in some projects. Like it just, for instance, if you held on to like fucking crypto skulls, I don't even want to talk about that today, for long enough, and you're, like, oh, this is, it's just here, I don't want to sell it, blah blah blah. Like Gary Vee jumps into it, and all of a sudden you've 100x'd your money in overnight. So
yeah, and then anybody who FOMO'd in at 5 ETH last week is confused and hurt. Like, what the hell happened? So. Right? And it's the same thing with IreneDAO, which we're going to talk about over the show. These things, this is, when we talk about this as in a liquid market, it works both ways. It's not just about the price falling out from things when people trip over themselves to sell. It's about when people start delisting at the same time that people start buying, things will move fast. People were looking at IreneDAO at 5 ETH like, what the hell? How could this be? I said the top is in. And I wasn't saying that to FUD. It's like, we know how much money is sloshing around out there. We know how far these things could go. And we saw a bunch of influencers jumping in at like 3 ETH. And we know what happened.
Logan Paul was happy to redistribute the wealth that he has into anybody that minted that for free. So pretty incredible.
Exactly. And that's the point. They jumped in at 3 ETH. It caused everybody to rush in and put it to 5 ETH. And that was that's always the last leg when people start to FOMO because a celebrity did it. Celebrities aren't the top, but they're usually pretty close to it because people start to follow them. You get that one last spurt, and then it's not about whether a project has longevity. I mean, IreneDAO certainly has some very passionate fans that I can't figure out why, but they're very, very into this DAO. And I'm not talking anything about the long-term prospects, but boy, this weekend was a great lesson in why FOMO and chasing isn't a good idea in most markets and is a death sentence in this market.
You got it. All right, let's start the show. Do your drum roll thing. All right. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Monday, January 17th edition of the morning show, hosted live on YouTube and Twitch, I believe. Yeah, it's still on Twitch. I am your host, R2DGen, and I am joined with me, as always, by Free Market Capitalist.
Hey, now.
It's been a good weekend. I think we both kind of hit the brakes on our our trading activity and jumping in, and just needed a little bit of a mental reset. Wasn't coordinated or anything, but I think we both got on the microphone this morning and was like, what'd you do this weekend? We're like, not really a whole lot. You? And I was like, yeah, not really either. So I'm feeling refreshed, rejuvenated. I definitely hung around. I saw a lot of chat in the DGen dojo about some topics, and there were a lot of great mints going on, but I'm feeling pretty good about just easing into this week. How about you?
Yeah, definitely.
I threw it over to him just as he was probably running to go get his coffee, so I'll let him come back and get but I don't know about you guys, but up here in Ontario, we are getting absolutely pummeled with snow. It's a school day for the teachers and the kids. My dog 60-pound dog could barely even walk in the snow down here, and it's looking white out there. How's it in New York? I think you're back now.
We got a pretty nice sprinkling, but it didn't stick. As of this morning, it is melted. It's still relatively cold here. We didn't quite get that Canadian tundra that you are enjoying today. I saw some pictures. Whoa.
Yeah, I think I don't know. Can you show? I could show a picture on this. Anyway, it doesn't really matter.
They want to know your snow depth.
You want to see a picture of my dog?
People love the pet content.
Yeah,
Let's not discount that.
Oh, it doesn't work like that. No good. Anyways, yeah. So it was. It's a very very snowy day here, but I actually love it. I love the snow, and I'm gonna have to go buy a snowboard and get back out there. I don't know what happened to mine. So, anyways, you guys aren't here to listen to me talk about snow or snowboarding.
The weather report. That's actually a very big mint coming up this week. I'll get some more information out and drop it.
That's a real thing.
Dojo. Yeah, that's a good segue. I wanted to segue us out of that smoothly. So we'll talk about the weather. Yeah.
Oh, the weather.
The weather. We'll talk about the weather report later this week. It's a very hot mint coming up. So
yeah, no problem. Guys, thanks so much for tuning in. We are going to jump into looking at the current crypto market right now. Not much happened over the weekend. Ethereum did have a little bit of a run up to 3,400. It's pulled back a little bit. Bitcoin, same thing, 44,000. It's pulled back a little bit, but we are trading sideways in that channel. And so far, 17 days into the year, free markets lemonition has come true. We are trading sideways, but not without its volatility. There's going to be up and down, sideways, up, sideways, down, sideways, but that's okay. It seems to be doing very, very well for the NFTs, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, and let's just be clear. My lemonition isn't even remotely true until like November or December. We got to see how the year plays out.
So 17 days is not a good sample size.
No. Let's move away from that. But yeah, I mean, if this was what happened the rest of the year, I think we're all going to get rich. I mean, you could not, if you are in altcoins or if you are in NFTs, you want nothing more than Bitcoin and Ethereum to be in a $1 range for the rest of our lives. That just gives all of our other Ponzi's the ability to go up and up and up. And it's really been a great atmosphere so far. We've seen it reflected in prices. I think everything that was hot the first 2 weeks of the year has been cooling off and consolidating.
Yeah, which is most of my portfolio. Thank you.
Me too. Hey, yeah. I mean, you know, and there was a reason I took off this week. Not only did I give away so much ETH in the beginning of the week trading like an idiot, but, you know, all of my stuff was down. I was not feeling good this week. It was not a great week for me. I had a good couple weeks, and it's just how this game goes, up and down, right? So
yeah, you know, we were pretty bullish on cat bricks, and that was a whole thing in and of itself. We actually went live on a Twitter Spaces for the launch of or the reveal of it, which was pretty fun. It was definitely met with some mixed results. I think a lot of people were feeling you know, a little underwhelmed by it. I think that there could have been some better choices made. I actually still really like them, but that was kind of the highlight of our NFT weekend for how much we participated in. I think how would you think of the cat bricks?
I was very disappointed. I was disappointed not in the art or the concept. I like the art and the concept. I was disappointed with the execution of the art, and I was disappointed with the ability of the team to understand how to manage a launch, because they did not do any proper marketing. They did not harness what they had, because that general was going crazy during the reveal. They had great volume afterwards. They saw prices start to go up, and they did nothing to encourage or, you know, do anything to keep the hype train going. And the art was a little lazy. I mean, shout out to Ghost, who pointed this out, because, you know, for someone like me, I would have never noticed this, you know, right away. Maybe it would have happened after a few weeks. But if you zoom in on the cat bricks and you look at their hats, okay, there are no curves. They're actually all straight lines, but you have to look in very closely to see. They're basically, you know, angles. And that has to do with how you digitally render this 3D stuff. And, you know, for Ghost, who's somebody who does this for a living every day of his life, he understands that was just laziness. The inability to curve out those hats. And mind you, Legos are all curves, okay? When it comes to the figures, they're all very smooth and curvy. The hats, the figures themselves. Yes, the blocks are angular. But that was those were the two reasons I was pretty disappointed with this drop. I still love the art, but it looks like those are going to be bags headed to my hidden folder. And it was just, after Hunger Brains, and which was just such a bad call, and then Cat Bricks, I had a bad taste in my mouth the rest of the week. I pretty much did not mint anything, but what you saw were so many people in AlphaMint have a great week. Like this is what's nice. It's someone who had a good couple of weeks has taken a week off for one reason or the other. People who saw the right meta and had the things speak to them did very well. So it's really just about staying in your lane, not getting depressed when your week doesn't go well, but you don't want to just keep changing your thinking and saying, oh, I have to adjust this way, and oh, I have to adjust this way. Because by the time you've convinced yourself to adjust, the meta changes from underneath you. Just be calm, be patient, wait for the ball or the puck to come to you, and you'll be fine.
Are you walking around right now?
No.
You're not? Oh, it's weird. Your voice kind of it sounds like you're like
going
walking
in
away
and out.
Yeah, it sounds like you're walking away from your microphone and like pacing around your room, and then it kind of like it sounds like you sit down again or something. So I'm not sure. It's all good. Like I could hear everything that you were saying. It just kind of sounds like you were like getting further away and whatnot.
I will try to get my audio under control.
You sound great right there. It's all good.
All right, perfect. I'm gonna not move.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, you mentioned a good thing about the Cat Brick. So like, I kind of get what you're saying with the art. Like, I totally understand that. That is like a very keen eye to catch that stuff. But I actually like them. I think that they look good. I think that the one thing that happened with them is that there's only 3 traits plus the background that exists them, and it's hat, face, and body, right? And I just I kind of thought when these were going to reveal that they would be more like full figure kind of things. So there would be like maybe like pants, arms, like holding something, and get up to that like 6-7 different traits to create a lot of different rarity. But I actually don't think they're bad. The community in their Discord is actually really strong. Like they're really getting behind it and whatnot. And sure, the floor is about mint price right now. It did get up to 0.2. But let's not forget, we saw that with lemons too, right? I'm not saying that this has the same kind of special kind of vibe as lemons, but it's not dead yet. Like lemons pulled back a little bit and then just like went absolutely parabolic. The ownership here is actually really good. It's pretty close to 5,300, which means that the average person owns less than 2. I guess my biggest thing that I wanted to echo with what you mentioned was just that, it takes a really good team and some sharp marketing to be able to manage the hype and keep things going. I was a little disappointed in this team for the simple fact that I was trying to reach out to them because we were doing the Twitter spaces for the reveal, couldn't get a hold of them. Sure, reveal day is a busy day for them. So, it was a last minute thing, not the biggest in the world. But Saturday, all of a sudden the volume started picking up, and like there were people sweeping, there were people buying, there were lots of them up for sale, which was unfortunate, but it ended up running up to that 0.2 mark. And I was in the Discord trying to get a hold of them, being like, you guys need to get on Twitter spaces right now and start having fun with this. Like bring people up, give them a spot to, when people see it trending on Icy or Moby or whatever, and they want to go figure out what this Cat Bricks Clubhouse is. You log into Twitter and all of a sudden you see a spaces with 300, 400, 500 people that's hosted by them. It's a no-brainer spot to go in. I think this is one of the, real magical points that Lemons captured, was that Farouk just jumped into Twitter spaces and started going nuts on them, and there was never that opportunity. And like the only thing that I really got out of it was just like they pointed me to the announcements and they're like, yeah, Twitter spaces sometime this week. And I was like, yeah, but you got to do it now. I even offered to jump in there and help them just like get up and like just talk for a little bit. I only had about a half. Anyways, it was just that like that lack of response to this very exciting time in their cycle where they minted, the reveal happened, it kind of slowly sat there and then just went crazy. You got to capture that, and I was surprised that there was no presence there. That's my 2 cents on it.
Yeah, and I think there's a big difference between manufacturing hype and managing hype, right? You know, hype is
embrace it, hug it,
exactly,
nurture it, you know, like give people a place to be excited.
Hype has like kind of a negative connotation to it because it always implies something that's going to die down, right? Like hype can never always last. So there's like this, you know, negative connotation to it, but keeping it going as long as possible is very beneficial. You want people to feel good about your project. They're your best marketers. I mean, everyone's out there talking about lemons every day. Everyone's out there talking about alien friends every day. Cool cats. You see these communities, they're obsessed, right? That is something you need to stoke as a creator. And, you know, these guys, I think it's just because they're very focused on the nuts and bolts of their project, right? It's great art. They have a very intricate P2E game plans, and they even announced their new subsequent collections, which are going to be alien bricks, or don't know what they're calling them. It's alien friends in this style and lemons in this style.
Those were just specific one-of-ones that they're auctioning off for, like I don't know if it was charity or something.
So these aren't new. These aren't new collections coming?
No. Those are just like kind of partnership nods that they were kind of doing, I guess.
Honestly, because quite frankly, the lemon one is just a Lego. Like, unless you put those little pointy things that a lemon has on the side, Legos are yellow. This is just a Lego. It's not a lemon. It's a pirate Lego. I don't even mean in a DCMA way. I just mean, what is this? This isn't a lemon.
I don't know. Whatever.
Okay. You know, all right.
What?
Nothing.
No, I'm just saying, like,
me on that. I thought you'd be very passionate. And then
yeah, no, about the fact that it's a
Lego.
Yes. I do agree with that. Sorry. I just meant like what they're doing was kind of just like whatever, you know, like they just failed to like get me and keep me excited about it. I'm still gonna reach out to them because I do think that I still like them. Like I still think that there's a lot of redeeming qualities about them, and
I think they look decent. Good.
They're good. PFP. They're good. Yeah, they're good profile pictures too. Yeah. I have no issues with that. I was just like, you know, I have a specific way that I would have gone about, you know.
Here's a thought I had. Do you think it would have been more successful had they been the exact cool cat traits?
In Lego form, maybe. I don't know.
So. I think so. I originally thought, you know, it's smart of them to not go that much of a copy, but you know what? Those cool cat traits are so good. I mean, people talk about how they are the best traits in the game. And while these are inspired by cool cats, I feel like that could be a reason that a lot of the cool cats people didn't gravitate towards them because they couldn't find their matcher necessarily. I don't know.
So you know what? I mean, if I'm like really looking at it right now, these are all very Lego-esque traits to the point where some people have found some that are like almost exact copies of them. Again, like it's fine. I don't think it diminishes what the project actually did. But when you're talking about like, this is like a cool hoodie. I like that. But like when you're talking about like metaverse characters and like who these people want to be when you're running around in like that kind of setting, like, I'm sorry, but like a doctor is probably not it, I guess. You know what I mean? Like, I guess it's just you want it to be fun. You want it to be memey. You want it to have nods to the current NFT space, right? And just like a lot of these just didn't do it. Like this is just this one right here, the orange kind of tank top. Like that is just too plain. Like if you pull that, it's disappointing.
They needed a rainbow afro so that Farouk would buy one. Come on, the one trait, rainbow afro. It's obvious. It's synonymous with cool.
Yeah, throw some vomit mouth in there. I don't know, whatever.
Those
Anyways,
great. Whatever.
I don't think this project is dead. Whatever. I don't think this project is dead. But I do think that it was not quite what I wanted it to be. So yeah, like you said, we have our bags of those, no problem there. Back to the news, actually. NFT platform OpenSea hits record $3.5 billion in volume, monthly volume. This is its highest month ever. We are only, as I said, 17 days into the month. That is absolutely massive for it to, be on a trajectory to more than double its current high watermark in monthly volume. So things are looking up in this. But the biggest thing that I'm curious about is how much of the volume LooksRare is actually taking from them. We had a pretty good conversation about that in the pre-show, and it would be really interesting if you could kind of subtract the wash trading, which we talked about on Friday, and how it's not necessarily a bad thing because it's causing a lot of wins on a lot of different sides, and kind of see how much volume LooksRare is adding to the ecosystem as well. So that's huge for NFTs. We've all felt the increase in the volume, especially with a lot of the projects that we've been watching, minting, trading, et cetera, et cetera. So that's great to see. But LooksRare, yeah. Did you use it at all? You've been staked. I guess it was a week ago that the Looks token dropped, and this kind of all started. I ended up starting to stake at noon on last Monday morning. So yeah, what's your first week look back on it?
So I have been so unbelievably bullish on LooksRare that every day I try to figure out the bear case because I just don't want to get too blind. And I'm not even saying this as a joke. I think that their concept here is so powerful, right? We have been trying to justify the value for governance tokens for 3 years. It is the dumbest fucking exercise I think crypto has ever tried to accomplish, that we've been trying to just convince ourselves forwards and backwards that these governance tokens have value. It's ridiculous. People want dividends. People want money. LooksRare is here's a share of the profits. Wow, revolutionary. Let's go, right? So this is a very, I think, all tokens coming out going forward are going to be incentivization, right? It's going to be tokens that incentivize you with something like WETH. It's what gets everybody so excited here. Now, I have not used LooksRare as much as I should because of the UX, and I do think that's their biggest risk, right? Is that somebody very well funded could come along with the same model of sharing and a better UX. This is really the only thing I think can do it in right now. The other angle would be the wash trading, right? If the wash trading becomes unprofitable and it does move away from LooksRare and nobody does it anymore, and our WETH payments drop 90% on the week because of it, are we going to be as enthused about it when we're not seeing that number always go up? Probably not. So that it would be very interesting to see what type of market share they're taking. When you look at retail and we see retail sales, is up 3%, but all the major retailers are down 10%. Well, you look at Amazon and Amazon sales were up 14%. So you put those two numbers together and you go, oh, Amazon actually took 10% market share from all the competitors. It's not that sales are down, it's that they took all this market share. So I'm sure people are digging in on the numbers, but it would be great to have an analyst see exactly how much is taken, because we're talking about OpenSea hitting record volumes this month. Well, what happens when we add in what's going on LooksRare? Obviously, we have to subtract the wash trading, but wow, NFT, 2022 is really making itself known as the year of NFTs right off the bat here, because this is just some insane volume.
Yeah, I think even if LooksRare can maintain some, even just 10 or 20% of OpenSea's volume for any extended duration of time, this is going to just be an absolute home run. Right now, looking at the chart, it was actually, the Looks token was above $5 very, very briefly there. But it really has, since its inception, just done a 2 steps forward, 1 step back kind of, staircase up. There's a bit of a pullback there as some big profits were taken. And then it just kind of hit really, really strong support where people just said, I'm buying more of this shit. And I think the reason is that the proof is in the pudding, right? You go on to LooksRare and you click the rewards tab, and I'm going to pull mine up here too. I took a screenshot of it just to show you how incredible this has been. And this is why I'm bullish on it. And this is why, you know, what you were mentioning is like that share of the wealth and that compounding effect that has happened has been just absolutely outstanding, because people are using the flat platform. Now, for some context, I was airdropped 800 of these tokens. I put another half an Ethereum or half an ETH into it. I think at about $1.50 or something like that. Essentially doubled my position to just over 1,600 tokens and then staked. Now, this was Monday at noon. So now we are basically a couple hours away from being 7 days into the staking process. I've earned just from staking. I haven't done any trading on this, although I have been following it closely and looking for opportunities. But just from the compounding and the WETH offer, or the WETH rewards, I've gotten an extra 190 looks tokens, which, you know, in current value is almost $1,000. And then almost 1.8, so just over, almost 1.8 WETH in 7 days, right? So it's over 0.02. If it can hold this value volume and stay kind of at that level over the course of a year, that's over 7 ETH. If it picks up, that's even more. Like, and that's just absolutely insane to me. This is passive income.
And the biggest bull case, I think, as far as volume goes, is for the Bored Apes and the Cool Cats and the punks of the world, right? Well, I guess crypto punks aren't traded there, but the idea that saving 0.5% means nothing for you and me trading something 0.1 is true. But when we're talking about 80 ETH JPEG, it's a lot of money to people. And I think that is one reason you see such huge volume over there, minus the wash trading, is that now people who have a very, very high priced NFT and are thinking about their sale very carefully. They're not in a rush to sell into volume. This is probably something they've taken weeks, if not months, to thoughtfully consider, like, I'm going to sell this very expensive JPEG I have. That 0.5% you're saving means a lot. Not to mention the fact that you get rewards for trading there and all that great stuff on top. I'm trying to ignore the looks rewards for now, because I think a much better story here is the WETH, because that's real money. Looks could go to zero tomorrow, and this airdrop was still worth real money to people because they can take that WETH, right? Yep. And it's the same thing with how I'm looking at the trade. Sure, you get the looks rewards, which is really nice, but you're saving, anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 if you're selling one of these high net worth JPEGs.
Here's where the compounding effect really kind of starts to intrigue me. And you're right. It's not really about the value of the looks token and how much in dollar terms you've earned, because it's going right back into your wallet and it's being compounded. Right. But, since I've staked for a week, the amount of looks token that I have is up, quick math, 12%, I think. Right. The amount that you have staked in there is directly related to the amount of the WETH rewards that you're pulling in, right? Now, obviously, everybody's kind of going through that, so maybe it's not the biggest factor.
It's
right. It does smooth out unless people start to unstake or whatever, right? Now, your proportion should be bigger. Anyways, so hopefully that compounding is also kind of keeping up with the amount of rewards that that are being distributed to you. And as we know, if you say time in the market beats timing the market, if you're early in this and that compounding effect, regardless of your starting stake, really starts to take hold, I mean, it's going to be really, really great for you in the long term.
What makes something a Ponzi scheme is when the only reason somebody would buy it is because they think number going to go up. Right? That's never sustainable. Okay. But when somebody buys something, when somebody makes a trade on LooksRare, it's not because they expect number to go up. It's because they're saving actual dollars in their pocket. There is a use case for this product besides number goes up. We talk about it in P2E games. And we talk about it all the time. To transition something from a Ponzi into a viable company, there needs to be a compelling reason to use the product besides number go up. People spend $15,000 on a Louis Vuitton bag, not because they expect to resell it next year for 25 grand. And we need this to be the case, not just for NFTs, but also for all these shit coins that we trade on a regular basis. It's why the governance token model is so broken. It's so stupid. And, I participated in it as well, doing just the craziest mental gymnastics to try to figure out why these things have value. If you went to the stock market tomorrow and told them the only value of their shares was voting rights, every company would lose 90% of its market cap the next day. This is a revolution in crypto, and it seems so damn obvious, right? But the reason is regulations, and we will see. Maybe that is the other bear case. This is literal redistribution of profits right here, and we haven't talked about it a lot. So we're going to see how this all plays out. Now, these people are not U.S. based; they are not worried about it. But anybody in a Western country who has the ire of their local revenue collection services, holding over them, are all. This is all going to be a hot topic over the next year. So we'll see how it plays out. I am just going with the faith here, not just because of the actual brass tacks, which I'm looking at my number go up every day as far as the WEF I'm making, but also the team behind it. I trust them. I believe in them. I think they've had all these discussions you and I are having over the last 2 months as they were conceiving this product. And as we're all trying to figure it out, they're probably 1 or 2 steps ahead of us.
Yeah, and it was very apparent to me that was the case, and that they very surely are 1 or 2 steps ahead. When the wash trading thing came out, and everyone's like, "Oh my god, like people are doing this, like devs do something or whatever," and they came out and said, "Yeah, it's happening. The fuck do you care?" Like, that was basically the response, and everyone was like, "Oh yeah, that's true." They're like, "We're getting WETH out of that. Everyone else is getting WETH, and it's helping build the ecosystem because people are using it." The other thing that go. You were about to.
No, I was just gonna say, this is all customer acquisition cost. All of this shit that looks too good to be true right now, it's just a startup spending money to convince customers to use their product. It's not crazy when you think about what these large corporations spend to acquire you to buy their Big Mac. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like this is not crazy in the world of business.
Customer acquisition. I mean, when we were talking about it in restaurants, like how to get the price to get somebody new into the building, it was like $10, $15, $20 of like every, you know what I mean? Like that's how much it would cost to acquire. Then you had to keep them. Like these big companies, especially when they're trying to start that viral hype cycle, they would happily spend $100 million. Well, maybe not that much, a lot of money to onboard, 1 million users onto it in a short period of time, so that those million people get all of their friends in, right? That's very, very valuable. And the amount of money that it would take to do it is fine by them, because they're not trying to be a $50 million company. They're trying to be a $50 billion company, right?
Right. So, and I mean, that companies will, it's called burn, right? Like how much money do you burn to acquire customers? And they will lose money for years if you've convinced your VCs that you have a viable model that will outgrow this cash burn, people will support it. And I do think that's what's happening with LooksRare. I'm so curious as to what large entities are looking at this and maybe planning to move in. I mean, I think this coin's also going to go a lot higher this year, and people are going to cash out when that happens. And that means my WEF payments are going to go up. So I'm really trying to not pay attention to the exact price of Looks, even though that is the whole bag right now. And boy, is it a big bag if you were there early.
Well, I mean, like, yeah, exactly. And like, there's always that like, oh, a company like Uber's never turned a profit. Like, okay. It's not that they can't turn a profit. It's that, they want to have such a stranglehold over the entire market and everything to do with any kind of derivative, every single vertical that they can actually take advantage of. They want to be the first mover in it, and they want to have absolute pure dominance over it, because, you know, the upside is maybe they're $100 billion company. They want to be a $5 trillion company, right? It's not, they don't have to turn a profit right now when they can continue to just expand, and really kind of just push their limits on what it is, right? So, going back to LooksRare, I think that we're both incredibly bullish on that, and I think that I've decided in my mind that, like, on some trading profit, I'm going to allocate X dollars into kind of reinvesting into that platform. I think it's a good play.
Feels like my new savings account. I want to make my WETH number go up.
Really quickly, this article, because we have just gone
slightly NFA.
We've gone on like 5 different tangents today, which is quite all right. But this article was really good, and not because I'm suggesting that you should read it or there's a ton of like valuable information or alpha in it, but it just, Web3 is not a scam, but it can feel like one. And it's just this Jeff John Roberts, my test drive of NFT metaverse game Axie Infinity shows Web3 has a long way to go. He basically just outlines, you know, you have to acquire crypto. Oh, you have it in MetaMask. No, Axie doesn't accept MetaMask. You have to use this other wallet. Oh, you have to transfer it. You have to bridge. That's going to cost you money. Oh, you want to buy an Axie? Well, that's not enough. You have to buy 3 Axies. They're each. I mean, so add up all of this friction that exists, all of these fees that exist, all of this money that you have to spend just to play a game like Axie. That to me is basically just saying there's still shitloads of friction, and where there's friction, there's tons of opportunity. And that saying that we all love, you are still early, is definitely true. Because if this was easy, you know, that opportunity or that arbitrage or whatever just wouldn't quite be there anymore. So I just really liked this because it was just a perspective piece on, like, yeah, you know, it feels good to us. It feels like it's very accessible and easy to partake in, you know, something like Critters. Because we're already set up for all of this, it's just a matter of, you know, downloading Minecraft and attaching your account to it, and you're good to go. But, you know, from somebody on the outside looking in who's never even participated in crypto, there's, you know, 5 or 6 really kind of major steps just to get there. And at every point, you're going to be paying gas fees, and you're going to be worried about losing your money too, right? Because it's not as simple as just plugging in a credit card number and going. So yeah, I liked this article, and I liked that reaffirmation that there's still a long way to go.
And with all due respect to the 130 IQ that wrote this article, Axie is 2.5, Web 2.5 at best. I'd probably put them at Web 2.2. If he really wants to have a nice friction-filled experience, he should go play some Ether Orcs. No, I would actually say the Ether Orcs experience is so smooth and so nice. If you've ever seen the graphical user interface they created for that game, it's incredible. I am remarkably bearish on Axie and all its assets. I think that it is great for what it did at the time. I don't think it's going to evolve into the new meta that's coming. I think it's going to become a relic, and I do think that its assets will have historic value. As you know, that's a big angle of all my theses in this market, but I don't think SLP, which is their in-game utility token you can earn, I don't think it's ever getting back to the old highs. And I think living in a developed country, there's no longer any profits to be made. For people who do not live in this country, these are miracles. I am so
100%, yeah.
I love it. I mean, nothing makes me feel better than when I hear these stories. But thinking in the terms of like those of us in AlphaMint looking at Alpha and trying to figure out what the next plays are, I do not think Axie will ever get back to its old glory as the standard of on-chain gaming.
Yeah, it definitely feels like they have a little bit of a MySpace, like, important first step, great for onboarding users, but just kind of reached its peak capacity before people start moving on to other things.
Great analogy, actually. Well
Thank you. But yeah, it was like, you know, Ether Orcs is great UI, a lot of fun. But if you were to just grab some random person off the street and say, hey, you should get into Ether Orcs, and they say, great, how do I do that? I mean, how much time do you have? Is the answer that you'd be saying to them.
It's an entire college course for somebody who knows crypto to start to get familiar with you. Some friends have called me recently and been like, hey, didn't you tell me about this EtherOrcs project a while? Apparently it's getting out there into like even, the DeFi people. I think DeFi Kingdom is doing a lot for NFTs. We haven't talked about that one a lot. It's on AVAX, Harmony. One is the name of their token, and they use it to change it into Jewel, which is the in-game currency there. It's both a DEX and a RPG yield farm, which I actually think is I love the idea of you going to switch your tokens in like a shop, you know what I mean? Like it's this UI where you go to change your ETH into whatever, in a gamified interface. It's fun. But yeah, EtherOrcs is a little complicated even for people who understand crypto, and it's expensive to get into. Like you can get by with one orc, but 2 orcs is better, and then you got to bridge them over to Polygon, and you got to start earning. Once you bridge over to Polygon, it's a relatively painless experience, which I've done. I am now on the Polygon ecosystem working my orcs because you cannot engage with your allies anywhere except the Polygon ecosystem. I was going to stay on L1. I don't know why. Something feels right about that to me, but I, get down or lay down, as Beanie Siegel said.
Yeah, I want to. God, I really wish that I had bought some orcs when they were low. I always feel like I'm missing out on that. But
it's the thing though, guys. This is why we always say you want to be liquid during those down. Things get so cheap when volume leaves this market. There is something to be said for being liquid into a bear. I mean, you just clean up. If you have a little patience, you just clean up.
Yeah, for sure. I want to bring this gaming conversation back to critters real quickly, just because that's been an interesting topic, and I don't know how deep you want to go on it right now, but Pranksy, last week we saw Becker jump in, and the price shot up to 4 ETH. It definitely cooled off after that and went down below 1 ETH. Pranksy jumped in yesterday around 5:30. He's used the genie to sweep up 30 of these critters, and it kind of kickstarted something again. Now the kickstart was kind of in the actual critters purchasing. I checked the plots and the price of block, sorry. And it didn't really go up too much, but I definitely think that there was some renewed interest in it, and again, some fresh set of eyes on it. I really do think that this is just in a bit of a lull phase in the game, where now people are playing it, they're accumulating the block, they're starting to mint some tokens. I know you kind of had some frustrations with the amount of AFKing that was going on in there, maybe causing some inflation. In terms of what the
creators
supply,
It's what the creators have pointed to as hurting the block economy. And I do think that as many protections they can put in there to eliminate people from AFK is important, because it is inflating the amount of block that should exist. And, I think this obviously exists. I don't play Minecraft. I'm assuming this is a big part of every part of these type of games, because I didn't even know what AFK meant until I was educated on it. And I don't know. It seems like one of those things, like for every protection you put in, people are just going to figure out a way around it. Like you're never going to catch up to that, because it would break the fundamentals of the game to truly eliminate it.
Shit.
What are our plots moving now?
Yeah, I just pulled it up just as like something to scroll on. It was like nothing 5 hours ago, and then we've been live for an hour, 30 minutes ago. Somebody just went to absolute town on it. I maybe some of mine sold. I don't know. Pranksy's doing it again.
No shock. The general consensus here is that it is short-term bearish and long-term bullish, and the reason is that there's no economy set up for block yet. There aren't enough protections in for AFK. And as long as the price of block keeps getting hit as really the only thing for people to do is either buy plots, which you have to have a very long-term mindset to do, or you have to sell the block into the LP. So the thing's gone from, 180 down to 25 cents. because really there's nothing to do but sell your block. And the issue with this is early on, people wanted to rent these things because you could earn 400 block a day. And at $1, this is one hell of a living. At 25 cents, it's $100. And no one's saying $700 a week isn't great, but it certainly reduces what people are willing to pay for critters. And it causes traders to say, you know what, I'm just going to take the 1.5 or whatever price it was at and sell my critter. And that caused quite the dump. I mean, after Becker got into these things, they had jumped all the way to 4.5 ETH and were quickly dumped on into the market, but it didn't end. They eventually got to 0.94 before Pranksy decided to step in and sweep. I thought they were primed at 0.94. I know some people think they could go a little lower, but I, who forever has the long-term mindset ingrained in me, thought they were a great buy there. I think they're a great buy here, and I would definitely be buying more critters as my liquidity situation allows.
Yeah, I think you kind of hit a nail on the head there with, like, you know, the only thing that you have to do with block is to mint the plots, and minting the plots means that you actually have to be playing the game. They have lots of stuff planned in terms of what you can do with the block later, but for now, that is the name of the game. The price of plots kind of correlates to the price of block. There's lots of, you know, interesting arbitrage opportunities there, or there was, at least for a brief period of time. But you know, the price of the plots are going up, and they will continue to rise. And I do think that that is going to continue to burn more block than is being produced, simply because the max total amount, if everybody was playing and playing properly, without, you know, them being stacked on different accounts and everything, is kind of capped. You know, there's an X that it can never go over. Now the price of everything else is going up and up and up. I do think that it's creating, it will create a kind of a price, a sharp price increase once plots start to get closer to being fully minted out. We still are some ways away from that, but yeah, I mean, the gaming thing, or sorry, the putting the block into the liquidity pool and earning money from it is always interesting. If you play, I think it was for like, if block's at 25 cents and you play for 6 hours, your dollars per hour would be somewhere in like the $15 to $18 an hour range US, which is actually not a, you know, is a, you know, above minimum wage and whatnot too. So
I mean,
I just think that's interesting.
The point, like, most jobs in New York will pay you $20 an hour now, but at the same time, you're not, you know, you got to do some hard labor for that. Like, this is Minecraft. This is something people enjoy doing for fun anyway.
Yep.
So even at these depressed prices, I would think a lot of people would choose to do this over digging a ditch on the side of the road or something similar, right?
Yeah, just digging ditches in the metaverse instead.
Less backbreaking labor, that's for sure.
There you go. All right, let's slide over to WolfGame, just because it deserves a mention. It is back with a vengeance. The floor on it is just about 1.8 ETH. I've seen Wolves going for 14 ETH or more right now, and this is just came back with a huge storm. I saw the wool token is like 40 cents again or something. And for anybody that diamond handed the fuck out of this project, congratulations, because it is paying off once again.
Yeah, absolutely. We know that a few of our DGen Dojo members got in on this, as it was alpha that was dropped and seemed to be the hot ticket of the day. It basically defined an entire meta, as we saw so many of these derivatives come online, and then the meta changed, it crashed, but the diehards stayed with it. Given how they've set up their risk protocol and their game theory, it did not give anybody a lot of impetus to unstake. Over the quiet period, you saw some incredible buys. I mean, we're talking people dumping $2 million into Wolves, right? And Beanie is a master marketer, and you can't take anything he says, especially when he alludes to mystery, right? Like, marketers are great at making you think there's something there when there isn't. So when we saw these $2 million buys, Beanie was tweeting out, $2 million buys, they must have found out who the shepherd is, like implying we're going to find out it's Satoshi or something like that. You know what I mean? And who knows? I mean, I'm not saying there isn't some incredible secret here we're going to find out, but it was pretty remarkable the size buys you would see, even as this thing was kind of in its own depressed bear market. And now wool is 40 cents. It's coming out of it in a beautiful way, and it looks like it's going to have another moment here. So.
Yeah, this might actually be a signifier that games are back in the meta too. I mean, like I always say, I don't think that they've ever really left. I think that this is going to be just a steady increase. But Orcs is doing really well. Critters is getting some attention again. The one we just mentioned, WolfGame, is just exploding once again, and this might actually be a perfect opportunity for a project that we've been looking at and keeping our eye on for a while now. And they also just dropped something on Twitter, Raid Party.
Yes.
You know, this is a very well thought out game. I'm trying to pull it up on screen. It's the wrong one. Fuck me. There we go. Raid Party. They dropped this video that sneak peeks kind of what their game is going on. It's like an idle clicker style slash game where you get your party together. Maybe you can get a guild together. Not sure about that, and you beat up on some monsters, earn some of their token, upgrade, etc., etc. This project looks fucking sick, man.
Yeah, and like it's very Final Fantasy vibes. The art, I would say, is as good as we've seen on any of these other RPGs. I think this is my one knock on most of these. Orcs is like next level pixel art. We see a lot of pixel art projects come down the pike, some more low effort than others, but that cannot be said for Orcs, nor this new raid party that is coming out right now, which is so cool. They've announced a few partnerships over the weekends, one with Anonymice and the other one with, it's slipping my mind right now, but they've put a little character from both projects in there swinging that sword. And they are promising some innovations to P2E, right? I've always said that these are basically
Forgotten Runes is the other one.
Yes. Oh, thank you. Forgotten Wizard Runes. I've always said that these P2E games are basically yield farms with gamified front ends attached. And this looks to be no different, but they seem to have solved a few things according to the Medium posts they've made, like why these games tend to have natural endpoints and fall off, and all the things that really do these type of risk protocols in. They have some really innovative things coming I can't really talk about right now, but I expect this to be one of the most watched projects of the first quarter here. They now have 50,000 people in their Discord. I believe almost 30 or 40,000 on Twitter. And I am really excited to see this one unfold. I think you're muted, sir, if you're speaking.
I sure am. I was typing, and I hate when I put the keyboard sound in the audio. But yeah, if games are coming back in vogue, like we kind of think they are, this could be hitting a really, really great time. Especially if the issue that surrounded Hunger Brains is any indication that people want this. They want new things to participate in, especially things that are kind of changing. Flipping things on their head and something new to participate in rather than just like a WolfGame copy.
Right.
But it provided everything goes smoothly for them. I really actually think this is going to be an incredible project just because it's the right time for it.
Yeah, a lot has to do with execution, and I know the disciplines that this team comes from, and I have the utmost confidence in their ability to execute here. 100%. We talk about crypto teams moving into gaming versus gaming companies moving into crypto, and these guys come from the gaming world, so I'm super excited to see what they put together here.
It's gonna be good. All right, maybe we'll just do a speed round into the other things that we had to talk about. IreneDAO hit. That was something else. This was a free mint that happened. It happened on Friday, and it popped up, and we're like, I don't know what this is. It's at 0.2, 0.3. Oops. This thing shot up to 4 ETH, 5 ETH. I saw Logan Paul was buying, I think he bought 30 or 40 of these at 5 ETH.
Yep.
And this one absolutely crazy. Does anybody even know what this is about yet? I know that this is Irene Jo. I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce it. There was some skepticism as to whether or not she was a part of it, but then it is confirmed that she was a part of it because she hinted at it like a week earlier. So there's that. But I mean, what is this? This is shocking, I guess.
This is a perfect example of what Kobe wrote about, and I think we're going to be pointing to this Substack post for years because it's about attention, right? There is a formula to understand what popular culture is talking about, where the NFT market is, and how those two things can clash to create the next meta. And it takes a very skilled mind to see it and act on it. But that is exactly what happened here, right? Every important meta clashed into into an industry dominated by a bunch of men, right? So it's not unusual that a very pretty young lady would entice all of them to ape into something. And I think all these powerful forces combined into just this crazy cook that caught attention. I think the more ridiculous a concept, the more likely it is to capture the crypto mind share as it was. I think Creature Toads is a very good example of this. I think Creature Toads will flip Creature World this year. Why? Because it's so ridiculous and memeable. I think the art is fabulous. The team is as rabid and dedicated as I've ever seen. The community is lively. There are few communities I can post about that I get anything from 30 to 50 to 100 likes and retweets on the post. But Creature Toads, this has all the formulas, all the variables to create a great community and really good ideas and a very, very passionate creator. And I think what a meme it would be this year to see this thing flip the underlying collections that inspired it after being maligned unfairly by some of the creators and biggest fans of this collection just because it was a mashup. And this mashup was made with passion and care. And quite frankly, I like the art better than Creature World. And I like Creature World. And I think the Creature Toads art is better. On that fact alone, I expect it to do well this year. So attention, okay? And that's what IreneDAO did better than most, is it captured attention. And I think that if someone could figure out exactly the formula to reproduce this on a regular basis, they'd have those things that, mint out for free and go to 5 ETH every week. That's why we see it every week. Something manages to capture everyone's attention.
Yeah, and this has definitely captured people's attention. I think that it was just there's something in particular about it where they were very memeing of it too, right? Like just the I'm going back to IreneDAO, but yeah, the whole like simp thing and whatnot. So but just absolutely wild. And for somebody that minted this for free to sell it to Logan Paul for 5 ETH, I mean, that is a good redistribution of of wealth and ETH too. And it's one of the reasons why I think the NFT market has been so strong is because we're seeing these big pump ups. We saw Pranksy drop 40, 50 ETH just in the critters thing too, and a lot of people minted those for free as well. Well, they just take that ETH and go and spend it on something else, right? So these prices get really, really, really inflated. Big celebrities jump in. They don't really care whether it's 4 ETH or 5 ETH at the end of the day. These guys have so much fucking money. But for the person that minted it for free, now all of a sudden you got some quiddity, my friend. So yeah. Anyways, I'm gonna grab the restream link for anybody in the Moon Lounge that wants to jump up. It'll be up in the AM show chat. We'll start getting you queued up on stage here. You want to riff on some FlyFish stuff? That had a little bit of a nice pump as well this weekend. We talked about Gary V's restaurant NFT going on. What's you managed to snag one of these? What happened with that?
Yeah, last week. I had wanted one of these since mint. They got it. I did not get whitelist. I was not able to mint the public. It did Very well immediately after Mint, but as the hype died, it kind of went away. And they were sitting there at about 3.7 ETH. So I decided to kind of stink bid what at 3 and see if somebody would take it because so many people were taking either small losses or trying to sell it for what they paid for it. Somebody took that bet. I was holding on to it and it started to do okay. It had creeped back up to 4. But then this weekend, an article came out in the Washington Post talking about FlyFish, what it was going to do. The headline was basically NFT restaurant. What's going on here? Which is great to capture eyeballs and attention. And boy, did it see a cook. These things were sitting at 7 ETH last time I looked. They've been meandering back and forth between 6.5 and 7.5 since this pop. This is a very interesting concept. A lot of people expected to see, and I think is one of the first successful models as such. And I'm really curious to see the execution here. I would think my only reservation, and I know Gary Vee will spare no expense to find the best sushi chefs and the finest fresh fish in the world, but normally very prestigious restaurants are built around a personality, right? And Gary Vee's a great personality, but he's not a chef and he's not a restaurateur. So while I expect the quality to be at its utmost, there's a reason Masa has the reputation that it has, and there's a reason Nobu has the reputation that it has. So I'm curious to see if this private restaurant could land a very high-profile chef like that would justify it being one of the best restaurants, not just in New York, but in the world. I'm very excited about the prospects. I'm a bit of a foodie, and this is just a really interesting, awesome thing to me. So as nice of a cook as it is, if it went to 100 ETH or 10 or 0 ETH, it probably wouldn't matter to me because I want to keep it and check the restaurant out.
Yeah, we went in depth on this a little bit last week, and I think that's a brilliant concept too. I would love to see how far it goes in terms of like what that membership entails, and your seats at the restaurant and whatnot. So this is going to be pretty cool. But yeah, what was 7.7 ETH it got up to at some point, or is right now?
Yep. Yeah, it's I will double check. It was at 6.9, I think, last time I looked. But yeah, it's been holding that floor well. It is super thin up to 10 ETH, but these are very high ticket items. So even though there's only 20, I don't necessarily expect that to get swept any second. The thing is, they are targeting the wealthy and affluent. They probably could give 3 shits about 7 ETH. So for them, it's just about having that, thing to talk about at the cocktail party. Oh, I'm in the private restaurant. Have you heard of it?
Yeah, at some of these restaurants, when people want to, splash a little bit, the USD value of 7 ETH is not out of the question for their bill to be that high. At times, you see people buy those giant bottles of champagne, and you see the snapshot of the bill that they ended up paying, $20,000 for a bottle of champagne, $7,000 for a giant tomahawk steak that the chef carves in front of you and whatnot. 7 ETH for people that participate in that ecosystem is small potatoes, quite frankly. So real cool stuff. AlphaMint cook yesterday, Planet Mofo. That was I like I said, I didn't participate in this, but they actually look pretty good.
They do. I like the
unique
art.
style, lots of good different traits on there. I can't remember what it was minting at price wise, but looking on OpenSea right now, it is sitting at a very nice, comfortable 0.5 ETH pre-reveal. I believe the reveal is sometime today, unless I've got my projects mixed up. But that should be very interesting to watch. So let me know in the chat if you ended up getting in on that. And if you did and you're a Moon Lounge member, grab that Restream link and come talk to us about it, because I want to hear what you're doing with this. Again, no skin in the game here, but already a nice, unique owners distribution so far. We love seeing it get up to that 60%, and that's when things really kind of get tight and the supply cuts down a lot. So that's pretty exciting. So congrats. Also, it didn't even really notice this, but 2,000 ETH in volume traded already. Incredible.
Yeah, I'm curious to see this reveal, because if they nail it, I think it could be one of those situations where we don't see that post reveal drop. But hey, Cat Bricks is it's such a good example of people were a little underwhelmed, and I think that contributed to why they did not maintain their price.
Yep, I agree with that. One thing that was a absolute massive cook was this Lil Heroes by Edgar Plans. Let's refresh this, but before sitting at 2.2 ETH. Yes, still the same. It is pre-reveal. 7,777 of these things minted, already 4,000 owners, and the floor is 2.2. These just minted, I think, like 12 hours ago or something like that, maybe a day ago. So yeah, sometime yesterday. But really quite a rise up here, and it'll be fun to watch where that goes. Again, another 3D quality project. Edgar Plans, I believe, is fairly well known as well. He's got some art posted on his website that he has sold well into the six figures. So 330,000 for this one, 200,000 for these. So yeah, he's been around. Very cool style to these, though. I like this.
I do know him.
SpongeBob nod there. Oh, okay, you do.
Not personally, but as I'm saying, this is the year of known artists. This cook doesn't surprise me at all. I think the biggest risk to any NFT collection you own is that this level of art is going to start entering the market this year. And it certainly could shine a light on the projects that were more about, proof of concept, look what we can do on the blockchain, versus like professional next level globally recognized artists now getting into this new meta, right? So that is why I think these, did so well. And now let's speak about the contract. So well written for gas that it was crowed about, yet there was a small bug, which may have been a feature depending on how ballsy you were minting these things, because there was supposed to be a 2 mint limit. That limit was fugazi. People were able to mint as many as they wanted, and these things quickly ran to 2 ETH. So if you were able to mint, say, 19 of them, you did pretty damn well. And this is, I'm not going to shout out anybody in particular, because what happens in the DGen dojo stays in the DGen dojo. If that person wants to make themselves known, they may. But huge congrats on this cook. And it's what I was talking about earlier in the show. If maybe you didn't have the best 2 weeks, the last 2 weeks, well, this week was your week to shine. And that's always the way it is. It comes in waves. And I am just so proud of the DGen dojo members who took advantage of this. It was well deserved with the amount of alpha that they brought into our channel. So hat tip,
100%.
Pretty amazing.
But if you want to talk about the conversation with Lego and cat bricks and people coming after them, you might want to also extend that concern to this project, because very clearly a Darth Vader one, they're using the AC/DC logo, SpongeBob, whatever. Like it's all good. No,
this doesn't even touch that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, okay. Like what this artist basically is doing satire by forming them to his thing. You're not really allowed to do an exact SpongeBob.
Yeah, I wasn't sure where parody starts to fall off if you're selling these for thousands of dollars or whatever.
The internet's very interesting, because if you walk into an art gallery, you will see exact reproductions of Mickey Mouse or SpongeBob or whatever these artists were inspired by, but they're allowed to do it. Disney does not sue an individual artist for their painting. This is different, right? This looks a lot more like mass production. This is a lot easier to access. And it's just a lot easier for companies to point to these things in court. It's a lot harder to drag an artist and to drug an artist. It's to drag an artist in his
I think they do that themselves. For the
yeah, I was going to say that's more voluntary, but this is, I think, going to be fine. I don't think it does cross that line. So
I say that only because the discussion was so like fervent about the cat bricks, and I mean, to me, I was just like, I don't know, like I don't see this happening. Like, sure, they definitely took some cues, and some of the logos on their own, were obvious, but like again, projects do this all the time.
Big genie sweep on those Australian Open art balls. Brought the floor up to 0.33. Nice little genie sweep there. I love these things.
0.33?
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
I'd keep buying them if I could. Yeah, not a huge price move, but I think people like these things, and I think they're undervalued given the Australian Open started last night.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to watch, and I love the utility that they kind of put into that project too. It just makes so much sense, and it's going to be fun. I know that some people in the dojo were trying to figure out which spots on the court have a higher likelihood of being involved in the a game point winner, and then trying to shop for those, which is a brilliant play, especially if you're a tennis fan and you want to get your hands on one of these balls.
The news when this happens, I can't wait till this happens. It's going to be such a big news story, right? I know they're going to do this for every series this year. The U.S. Open and the French Open are coming up. I imagine it's going to happen for them too.
Definitely. Two other things. One cook that happened this weekend, shout out to Lisa who dropped this, was the ISO room. I love these little scenes like this. I think it was such a good generative project. I don't have any of these. There's 3,000 of them, but they're up to 0.23 right now. I think they were much higher than that before falling down. I think they got up to almost 0.5 at one point. I'm not going to scroll that far back, but this is just a great little project. I love the vibes of these things.
Yeah, definitely. I've always been into these. I bought a project long before anybody knew what an NFT was, called Render Room, which was this same vibe. I'm not sure about its metaverse utility, but I've always been in love with these things. I think that this is going to be a huge part of the metaverse, and I'm so curious to see how these things plug in. Like, will you be able to insert these into World Wide Web 3 and DCL and Sandbox? Like, once you have your land, can you insert your render room into it? Very, very cool stuff happening, and one of the bigger cooks of the week. And I saw a lot of big influencers tweeting about these things.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I was actually just watching this video too, and oh, that's weird. It says the early ISO room owners are guaranteed to obtain a certain amount of ISO token, but in their video, it calls it rent token. And I just thought that was really interesting because the last thing I wanted to mention was TheLandDAO, which is also going to be generating rent token, but I don't think the same one. This was one that I had mentioned earlier. They kind of flubbed the Genesis drop and then made it right. Everything seemed to be okay. They did their public sale yesterday and it went off without a hitch. It was a 0.088 mint, and these are up to 0.15 for the standard version. And the Genesis ones, if you held on to them, are selling for about 0.5 right now. And those are revealing today as well. And this is just a DAO centered around buying metaverse type properties, Sandbox, Decentraland, World Wide 3, NFT worlds, et cetera, et cetera. I still am pretty bullish on this project. I'm glad that I held on to mine. I think I'm going to hold on to them past the reveal and see what happens. But this is a project that I think has been doing its thing. And, if it's any indication on how quickly it's sold out, there's definitely a little bit of hype around it. So I'm going to be watching out for that one too. But it is also a staking play where you can earn tokens based on the level of plot that you own. So pretty cool there.
I love my stake medium rare.
Yeah, and I love the isometric pixel art that they've done here too. It looks really good. Anyways, on that note, the link is there for anybody to join us up on stage today if you want to participate in the Q&A session. Anything you're looking forward to today? I think it's you got a full moon coming out.
I do believe there is some big stuff happening this week, today, even because there is a full moon this evening. So I am, I believe there is some Star Wolves stuff going down. I've seen over the weekend more and more people getting into the Discord. I think there is some big stuff brewing in this week. So we'll see. Hints, mystery.
Forgive me for 1 second. I just got to go check on something here. What else are you looking forward to?
Well, I am looking at my percentage of the block LP go down 80% overnight, as I am assuming Pranksy aped in as well. I had 10% of this LP, and somebody added a bunch of liquidity yesterday, so I'm grumpy this morning because now I only own 3%. And I think that's bullish for the project, but bearish for Uncle Free's liquidity position. So I was also watching Magic because it had quite the dip as Ethereum and Bitcoin pulled back, and now it is ripping again. And I gotta shout out the small bodies. I mean, the talk of the town has been these small brains, but I think as people realized that there was another entity by the same teams that was relatively undervalued, they have been aping in, because the floor on the small bodies right now is 2.75 ETH when you convert it over from Magic, and the floor on those small brains is 4.22 ETH. So that spread has been closing, and we know that we have a new treasure marketplace ecosystem project coming up soon in the Enjoyers, which we got a bunch of whitelist spots.
Is that today?
No, that they are minting. I was just talking about quite the rise in small bodies versus small brains. Small brains are still above 4 ETH right now, but small bodies actually got up to 3 yesterday. They've pulled back a little bit, but this spread is closing as I think people rotate into the more undervalued of the two entities in this Smallverse. So yeah, turning into quite the free airdrop, with the small airdrop sitting at about worth 12 or 13 ETH right now, and the small bodies sitting at about 6 ETH, though the only reason small brains is that much is they've had a bunch of airdrops as well. So we'll see if that happens for small bodies. But yeah, we're talking about this Enjoyer project, which is going to be a DAO for the treasure marketplace. That is coming up. We got a bunch of whitelist spots up in the DGen dojo. There's a new one I just heard about today. And yeah, we are going to have Trafficus on, who is one of the creators and project managers in the Smallverse. And he's going to tell us everything we need to know about Magic and the treasure marketplace. As far as L2 goes, Arbitrum is Uncle Free's favorite, and I am very excited about what Treasure and all the projects building on that protocol are doing. So,
yeah, I'm gonna have to check that out too, because I want to partake finally.
Yes, you got
be great.
Yeah, and a lot of people are on that Enjoyers, so I think it's going to see similar action to the small.
I pulled up a question from the audience on YouTube there, and Joshua is asking if we talked about the criminal, aka side quest, already.
Nothing can be said about the criminal side quest. All right, so there is a very cool...
Why did you just turn into a robot? Is there something
I don't know. I was going with dark and mysterious.
I have no emotions towards the criminal, aka side quest project.
So
feelings.
There is a new P2E launching called SideQuest. I will throw the link up. What I think is very interesting about SideQuest is it has kind of these community battles going on. If I remember the white paper correctly, we're all battling this dragon who's trying to invade, and he comes around at random times. Right. So all of a sudden we'll be sitting there trying to, ape the latest mint or whatever, and we'll get an alert. The dragon is coming. And then all of us have to run over to the SideQuest UI, commit some sort of action so that we can all beat this dragon together. And then anybody who participated in that group action will have their right to a very large loot pool. So again, these are essentially yield farms that create certain actions that would allow portions of them to get a larger yield at different times. And this is just a very cool way to gamify it. Now, what is Criminals? If we break down the mechanics of this game, there are 3 guilds within it. This is a sub-guild called the Criminals, whose mission is to actually take over 2 of the guilds. That's all I can say. They're available on OpenSea right now. If you would like to become part of the Criminals gang and participate in this, you can buy them for the very low price of 0.06 or 0.07 last time I looked. This was started by a high-profile gentleman within NFTs who I will not mention either, though his name has been mentioned in the DGen dojo. So I definitely think you guys should go check it out. criminals. Not saying it's a buy, but that is not saying it's a buy for speculative reasons. This is a buy if you would like to get into this clique, which is going to try to approach this game from a hive mind mentality. That's what this is. I maybe the underlying membership passes will rise as the prospect of being part of this group increases, but you're basically buying a membership here. That's how you should look at it. Sunk cost to be part of this thing.
Yeah, I mean, it does look pretty cool. You kind of mentioned it to me before the show, so I looked into it, but it was just before the show, so I have done zero diligence on it myself. But I did see that that picture pop up that you mentioned of the guy in the mask quite a bit. So I guess maybe, you know, as you often say, where there's smoke, right?
Yeah, and people have said this has Neo Tokyo vibes, and I tend to agree. And again, that is not to imply the membership pass is going to 80 ETH. It's to imply that these secretive, hive mind, Illuminati-like groups are very appealing to people. People want to be part of something. We all want to feel like we're part of an elite group that is doing something nobody else knows about. It's why I think something like Neo Tokyo is so popular. And given who is running this, it's why I think it has that similar potential. Again, this is not a call on the ETH price of the past. It's a call on what kind of alpha and what kind of moves can be made within this type of group, right?
Yeah, definitely. Love it. I have so many tabs open, I get lost here. But what was the dojo name?
Degen Dojo. That's our.
Is that what you're referring? Yeah. Oh, sorry.
That's the Degen Dojo is our room in the Moon Lounge where people spend most of the discourse, or where people engage in most of the discourse. So you would have to buy a AlphaMint pass for access to the Moon Lounge Degen Dojo.
Yeah. Well, I guess speaking of AlphaMint and the Degen Dojo, I mean, that thing has just been absolutely cooking lately. It's been
Ooh, baby.
Incredible to see some of the wins that people have been having in there, and really just doing it in a team sense too, right? Like everybody's looking out for their best interests and hanging out there, having a good time, making a lot of friends. I've seen lots of coordination and collaboration on these P2E games. EtherOrcs was one of the biggest, group collaborations that I've ever seen, and it just, you know, paid off in spades and still going strong. But even just people renting critters to each other in there, you know, sussing out projects, just getting an overall vibe for it. I mean, there really is strength in numbers in there, and it's been an incredible 17 days to this year. But even just in the last 6 months, just a absolutely invaluable place to be.
Yep.
So I should throw in some jammers here while we're chilling out. I don't know, man. Is there anything else you want to talk about? I guess everyone's a little bit camera shy this morning. That's okay. Getting over, the weekend. It is Monday. So I'm not going to take too much offense to nobody coming up today. But yeah, what else do you want to talk about? Anything?
Yeah, we have a few interviews lined up this week.
That's right. Yeah.
Now that we're in the new year and we're getting into the swing of things, there are quite a few projects that have been building during the quiet periods, getting ready to launch. So we do have an interview coming up with the Elementary Boys, and this is some sick art that I will drop in the general and the Degen Dojo.
I can actually pull it up on screen too, but yeah, if you want to drop the link in there.
Yeah, we have a couple other interviews coming up this week, which we're still working on the scheduling, so I don't want to announce them yet. But it's going to be an action-packed week, learning about projects. I'm sure there are going to be new stealth and free mints, as it is one of the major metas right now. And yeah, I'll just be watching my bags closely. I am very curious about this Australian Open ball. I think that this is very interactive. We get to watch the tennis. We're hoping we get a game winner on our coordinate. I think this is super fun. I'm thinking about hardware that could coordinate with this, where that, you know, your ball is hung on the wall, and then if the tennis game is live on TV, It links with your ball, so it knows where your plot is, and your smart TV overlays it on your AR glasses. Am I getting too out there now?
No. This is
Loving it.
where the world is going. It's
So
so true.
exciting.
I mean,
Yeah.
I was thinking about like spots on a basketball court, and every
Mm.
time somebody hits a shot, from that spot on there, like you earn a little bit of a token, and that some of the revenue is generated from ticket. I don't know, whatever ticket sales. They're probably not going to relinquish any of that, but there's so many like things that could happen in terms of NFTs placement, like owning a seat. Imagine your season ticket is based on a lifetime ownership of an NFT, and maybe every year you just have to kind of pay a renewal fee or something like that. But at the end of the day, maybe you could sell that to somebody else, the rights to it. I know that like something like in Lambeau Field and for Green Bay, the Green Bay Packers, right? Like it's so hard to get season tickets to that people literally leave the rights to them in their will. And having that in an NFT form of ownership in a wallet and being able to kind of transfer that around would be absolutely amazing. And that's just kind of like the simple base case uses of it. What you brought up there with it overlaying on your TV is brilliant.
I mean, tickets as NFTs you could rent to people. That's where StubHub's going to go. That's where all these, I think, these facilities are going in that direction. They're just hindered by technology right now, right? Like I actually co-hosted a morning squeeze where we were interviewing one of the creators of NFT NYC, and my first question to him, because a lot of people asked it, was, why didn't you do NFT tickets? And the short answer, he gave a long one, but I'll summarize it, was that the technology isn't there yet. They did it the first 2 years, but it was so difficult to actually implement them in a realistic way in the physical world that they stopped doing it. Now, I was talking to him about how I think this year is the year of hardware and things are going to change now, but that's really what I think is holding everything back is the technology and the hardware. And I think we're going to get a lot of that this year. So looking forward to it.
Oh yeah. Like I completely agree. Like this is such an exciting time for like real world integration of NFTs as well, right? Because we're gonna get to that point too.
Yep, absolutely. I see Joshua, who's new to the show today. Shout out to Joshua. He's asking us about cryptoids and Kuroro beasts. We haven't done a ton of research on them, but I will write them down. And I will check them out after the show. So hopefully you'll tune in tomorrow and we will give those two a shout and see what they're about. Also, Frankenpunks would have been a better name, but Frankenpunks, which was another high profile drop over the weekend that cooked. And I think the only reason it cooled down was it was overshadowed by like 5 other drops. We've just been in that mode where there's been drop after drop. So that one looked like a good cook. It is revealing tonight. We will see if those commons are impressive enough to mitigate the post-reveal drop. And then Rengoku. I have been hearing about this everywhere. I have not checked it out yet. Adrian, if you could drop me a link in the general chat in AlphaMint, that would be awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, actually, maybe this is a pretty good time to hint at the fact that we've talked about doing some more content like this too late last week, where we're maybe more of a casual, just extending the show while we're doing our own research and just hanging out, chatting, and having some of these questions go through. Like we could pull that stuff up live on stream and do some diligence together. I think that would be pretty cool.
Yes, sir.
Yep. Let's Sandman, what are your thoughts on RNDR? I'm assuming render token. I'm not sure.
Has this token been around for a couple years? ERC20. Give us a link, Sandman. I remember an ERC20 token from like 2 years ago called Render. It'd be so funny if it was the same. In crypto, this happens all the time. It is. Looks like it. This happens all. I swear. Tell me it's like $5 now. I'm pretty sure someone showed it to me like a billionth of a cent or something. It's going to be one of those things.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find something on it. Cast GM, what's going on, man?
Morning, sir.
He just came up so that he could show off that sweet lemon profile picture.
Power. Boy, people ask me about that lemon price every day. Lemon price, check price, price bad, price go down. Can the devs do something?
It's tedious, man. Tedious.
I'm fine with it.
No, it is more. Yeah, you could be fine, but it is what it is, isn't it? It's. I think people should just look at it as. People just should look at it as you're buying a PFP, because for the time being, that's all you've got for the majority of projects out there. You know, even let's look at. Oh, sorry. Go on.
No, and I was gonna say I've always was so impressed with how the Littles tempered their expectations so well. Like, their game wasn't ready. They hadn't even really given any details about it, but everybody was talking about it before the drop, like this was the reason you should buy the Littles. And then Will came out like, we have nothing ready. Do not buy these for any other reason except you like the Littles. Blah, 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 blah. And really, yes, they had a post-reveal pullback. They actually didn't. It popped post-reveal. Then once the trend went somewhere else or the attention went somewhere else, they pulled back. But I thought he managed expectations so well. And that's the main job of a project manager and a team, I believe, is to manage the public's expectations so that it never gets too far ahead of itself, or it never gets too bearish because you haven't communicated properly what your true intentions are, right?
Yeah, no, 100%. And there's not many projects that do that. And Lil can do that really well. Yeah. Because I remember when he just went after reveal, he was like, listen, guys, remember you just got a PFP in it. That's what it is. And which was perfect, because at least it ain't spinning a yarn, if you get what I mean. Like,
exactly. Yeah, people don't want dishonesty. They want, at the very base, people will reward honesty. And I think that is, what Will displayed there, and masterfully. I think it did very well for his project.
Yeah, the amount of issues you can avoid if you are running a business, if you are managing staff, if you are creating an NFT or crypto project, just in every day is like managing the expectations of what's going to happen and what is happening beforehand, rather than trying to catch up to the thought of expectations kind of running out of control after, and then trying to backtrack. The amount of like hardship and frustration that you'll save not only yourself but the people that you're relaying that information to is incredible, right? And you'll always have that thing to kind of point to on the wall as well, of saying, look, there is a roadmap. We're still trying to figure out the best way to go about it. Sure, we're going to do stuff, but for now, this is what you're getting and this is what you'll have. And it's if you want to look at a project that's done that very poorly, much to my own chagrin, is Galactic Apes, because apparently yesterday they just came out and said, look, without hiring tons of people, this project is going to be, or the product, which is the game, is going to be 2 or 3 months down the road. And everyone's like, holy shit, like another 2 or 3 months. And we just saw it absolutely dump. It was struggling to maintain a 0.4 floor. And this was a project that got up to, almost 3 ETH at one point. And, it dropped right down to, I think, like 0.15, and I think people saw that as a buy opportunity too, especially if you're willing to hold for a while. But
do you remember why it popped? Because they announced a bunch of Cool Cat spots. And now that we know the price of Cool Cats, hey, that wasn't necessarily a bad gamble, right? To try to buy some of these low.
But yeah, I got you. But it's just such a bad job of managing expectations, right? Like, and it just makes people all of a sudden just went like, wait, what are you guys talking about?
This guy made $15 billion and still hasn't hired anybody after 6 months.
Say 15 billion.
Come on.
Maybe I'm exaggerating a little. What was it?
I was like, I'm trying to do the math here. I'm like, I don't know.
But
0.08, 8,000. That's a lot of ETH.
Like you said, a lot of. I mean, look at Catbricks, for example, and
I did look at them. Yes.
I think the issue was this as well, and it happened with Samurai Saga. Have you heard of that one as well? Where Samurai Saga and Catbricks seem to kind of follow a similar pattern of bringing new people into the space. Okay, so if you go into both of their discords, there's a lot of questions in regards of how do you mint, how do you do this, how do you do that, what does this do, etc., etc., etc. And what projects seem to kind of fail a lot of the time is they build up all this hype. After reveal and after they've sold out, they don't do anything after that. They really don't. And I think that's what's happened with Capric. If Caprix could pull out, I don't know, to show Catnip, for example, it would maintain the momentum. And like you said, also in regards of Twitter Spaces and you know, putting yourself out there a bit and saying thank you to your community, doing it just via announcement a bit shit. So yeah, that's my thought.
I say it a lot. I'm always surprised at how many of these projects need consultants. Like, and I you know, it really, you can't do everything yourself. And if you are a 1 or a 2 person team, maybe you can knock out the art, maybe you can knock out the Discord, maybe you can knock out the contract, but you really need a pretty comprehensive team to really pull off a large project nowadays. And most of these projects are pricing in a way that they should be able to do that. I mean, they're not making small amounts of money. And I think they're discounting how much manpower is required to maintain a project once it's become this entertainment properly. Like, you release it out into the world. This is a living, breathing thing that you need to manage because it is going to take on a life of its own and people are going to expect results.
No, 100%. 100%. And did you guys, did you guys see Asian main collection?
Say Asian main collection? No, tell me.
Okay. Bit of a cook, really. It came out. There was the whole hype of China being allowed to purchase NFTs, and the pattern, what I personally have noticed in terms of times and when it gets busy, ultimately changed. Okay, with the monsters to start off with. Now, Asian main collection is Asian women, or art of Asian women of the whole of Asia.
Yes.
I noticed whilst I was buying, Steve Aoki was heavily getting involved in it, and a few other people. I can't remember as much, but it dude, in 24 hours, 2.4K volume. It was absolutely nuts. It literally ran from 0.1 to 0.5 in the space of a few hours. It was absolutely mad. Yeah, the hype of Asians got drowned out by the IreneDAO.
Right.
It was doing its own thing as well on the side. And where I noticed UK time, or UTC, between like 6 o'clock in the morning till about 8, 9 o'clock is normally completely dead. Gas is low. I think America's asleep. And it's just about waking up, and Europe's just about waking up. And Asia have always been locked away. That's why it seemed like prices would always drop until the morning. Okay. The gameplay has completely flipped just by watching that. It is
I think
there's so much of the world that is ready to come online here, right? Like, when we talk about like the NFT space being huge, I mean, we're basically just talking about the same 200,000 people, give or take, right? But I mean, 1,000x that, you're only at 200 million people, which is, you know, still not even 10% of the world's population, right? Like, we still have so much more to go. We're not even at 10% of the crypto population participating in this ecosystem.
Cobain and I discussed talking about that. You know, we touched on it last week, but now the Monsters drop has had a free airdrop, and there were announcements over the weekend that the Chinese could buy NFTs in the renminbi now, not just in cryptocurrency. So I think there's going to be a lot more to talk about, kind of this new meta that's coming along, and I believe we're seeing really, really powerful cooks at weird times because, like you said, Asia is now coming online to this, and it is going to be a huge, huge market. I remember just being in Top Shots. The thing was always, when's China coming online? When's China? Because, yeah, they can use VPNs and things like that, I guess, now. But once we know how big the China is into the NBA, so once they have access to Top Shots, we expect that premium to present itself.
Yeah. And like, I think the one thing that's very interesting about NFTs, even if you take all of the utility, like we discussed about the Australian Open balls, away from it, and we just want to cut it down to like collectibles, the idea of collecting and something, that is so human, right? Like everybody collects something, I think, right? Like I think you'd be hard pressed to find somebody that doesn't collect something, even if it's not like a hardcore passion. They just like, even like your grandma had the spoons on the wall or coffee mugs or whatever, right? China.
Yeah,
like it's such a uniquely human thing to do. And I think that's why NFTs really do have the ability to surpass crypto, because crypto is more, let's just call it an investment and finance focused, right? Where people are looking to participate in those kind of speculative markets. That doesn't resonate with anybody or everybody. Some people just don't have an interest in that, and they don't want to do that work and whatnot. Like obviously financial literacy and saving for the future and whatnot is very, very important. But you can get your kicks that way and other ways, right? But collecting stuff is so core to people, and NFTs just fit that. And as so much of the world has lived in a digital space, and there's going to start to grow up, get great paying jobs and whatnot, the concept of digital collectibles is going to just make so much sense. It's going to be so natural to people.
I can agree, because what made my transition easy is it being a collectible. I collect things, from stamps to coins to cars. I collect things, Disney shit. So the transition of understanding, I understood NFTs a lot more easier than I did crypto, to be honest. So
I always tell the story. I was crypto averse until I discovered NFTs. And I know most people's journeys are the opposite. It's like I was in Bitcoin or Ethereum, and then I discovered NFTs. I never bought a cryptocurrency until NFTs intrigued me.
And I think that is going to be the predominant sentiment going forward. I got into crypto because of NFTs. I got into NFTs because I already had crypto.
Yeah,
Trojan horse for this industry, and I've been saying it for years. And boy, did people think I was nuts.
In the same way that, like with the Silk Road, right? It was like I got into crypto because I wanted to buy drugs or whatever on the Silk Road. Not I got into drugs because I had crypto, right? It's these
Sorry.
These not big... that there aren't a lot of people who got into drugs because of there are. It's a very stressful
yeah, sure. But yeah, you know what I'm saying.
I'm just kidding.
No, that's great.
Sorry.
You made such a great analogy earlier in the show, and then you ended it with that one.
What, me?
Yeah, you.
That wasn't a good analogy?
It was a good analogy. It was good. It was good.
You motherfucker. We are at 2 hours now, so Cass, I am going to let you go. I thank you for coming up and hanging out with us when nobody else would, saving our reputation yet again. I appreciate that.
Don't be silly, man.
We love the Cass.
Love you too, guys. In a bit.
All right, man. Well, we are, like I said, we're at 2 hours. It was a good show. We definitely riffed on a lot of stuff. I think we left a lot on the table for our show tomorrow, so that's going to be really exciting. For anybody that tuned in late, we talked a lot about LooksRare again and the OpenSea volume that kind of set records already 17 days into the month. You know what we didn't talk about was the gap, so we'll definitely have to get into that tomorrow unless you want to go on that real quick.
Well, I'll just say that the
Is
gap.
it time sensitive?
The next drop is on Wednesday, so I think we can comfortably have a good discussion tomorrow about it, and especially because I think prices will be even better tomorrow for those who may want to leap in right before the drop.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing more about that just because it's on Tezos, and you've always been a pretty big fan of Tezos as like, you know, the second in line for NFTs above all else. So that'll be interesting. We talked a lot about the game meta again. So WolfGame, Critters, raid parties upcoming. We mentioned IreneDAO, the FlyFish Club, which is Gary Vee's restaurant that's going up at some point. And then, yeah, we had FOMO Mofos and the Lil Heroes were in there too. So if you're tuned in late and you want to listen to any of that, that is all within the show. Other than that, if you're new to the channel, we appreciate it. I saw some new people in there. If you could do us a favor and just hit that subscribe button, it's always greatly appreciated. And if you're not in the AlphaMint Discord, there's lots of stuff going on there for the free members as well. And, you know, take a look around. Maybe you'll talk yourself into getting a Moon Lounge pass, which is just an incredible value right now. Mark, you want to finish this off with anything?
If your notifications aren't on for Star Wolves on Twitter, NGMI.
That's it. That's it. All right. Say the line, my friend.
Good luck at the tables, you degenerate, lovable, beautiful people.
Peace.